From the moment he walked into the Grand Hotel lobby, everyone seemed to notice him, but not in the way one might expect. Benjamin Clark, a man who secretly owned multiple businesses across 3 continents, was wearing plain jeans, a faded shirt, and an old leather jacket. His neatly combed hair couldn't hide the exhaustion in his eyes. He wasn't here to impress anyone, not tonight. All he wanted was a quiet dinner. Yet, as he approached the receptionist, his hope for anonymity collided with the harsh reality of social judgment. If this story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. "Sir, I'm sorry," the receptionist said, barely glancing up. "We don't accept reservations without proper attire. Perhaps you should come back when you're appropriately dressed." Benjamin's heart sank, not because he was rejected, but because he had faced this kind of judgment more times than he could count. People assume that appearances define worth. Tonight, he wanted nothing more than a simple meal, but even that was now out of reach. He turned slowly, trying to hide his disappointment, and noticed the hotel staff whispering and glancing at him, their smiles thinly veiled with amusement. Just as he considered leaving, a soft voice spoke up behind the counter. "Excuse me, sir. Maybe I can help." Benjamin turned to see a young woman with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile. Her name tag read Clara Bennett, and she was a maid at the hotel, bustling between the reception and housekeeping duties. Clara's uniform was simple, her hands slightly rough from work, yet her presence radiated sincerity. She didn't laugh or judge him, unlike the others. There was a quiet bravery in her tone. "I can find you a seat in the dining area," she continued, "even if the manager doesn't approve. Some rules are meant to be bent for kindness, aren't they?" Benjamin was stunned. In that instant, he realized this wasn't just generosity, it was understanding. He nodded, and with Clara leading the way, they moved toward a small, overlooked corner of the hotel's elegant dining room. She pulled out a chair for him and gave him a reassuring nod before leaving to fetch a menu. As Benjamin glanced around, he noticed the contrast sharply. Wealthy diners chatted over fine wines and expensive dishes, some sneering at him under their breaths. He felt like an intruder in a world that had never truly welcomed him without expectation. Yet here he was, sitting, because one person refused to let him be invisible. Clara returned with a plate of the chef's special, insisting it was on the house. "You look like you need a proper meal," she said lightly, though her eyes reflected empathy. "And who knows, maybe today is a good day for someone to be reminded that kindness costs nothing." Benjamin couldn't help but smile, a warmth spreading through his chest that he hadn't felt in a long time. He took the first bite, savoring not just the food, but the rare feeling of genuine human connection. He wanted to tell her who he really was, to explain that he could have paid 10 times the amount for a private dinner anywhere. Yet there was something profound in the simplicity of her gesture, something that reminded him of his own father's lesson. True wealth is measured not by money, but by the ability to touch someone's heart without expecting anything in return. Over the next few minutes, Benjamin watched Clara move from table to table, assisting guests with effortless grace, smiling even when some treated her dismissively. He noticed a young couple struggling with a spilled drink, and she knelt down, patiently cleaning the mess, whispering gentle apologies. She didn't seek attention, didn't demand recognition, yet her kindness left a mark on everyone she touched. Benjamin was struck by the realization that this was the kind of courage and heart that could change the world one small act at a time. Then, as if the universe wanted to test him further, the hotel manager approached. His expression was stern, eyes narrowing as they landed on Benjamin. "I don't know who you think you are," he said coldly, "but this is a private dining area. You are not allowed here." Benjamin looked at him calmly. He could easily assert his true identity and make the men regret every word. But he didn't. Instead, he glanced at Clara, who had paused nearby, her eyes wide but steadfast. Without saying a word, she placed her hand lightly on his arm. "Please, sir," she said to the manager. "He's a guest. He deserves to eat just like anyone else." The manager scoffed, but something in Clara's voice made him hesitate. There was no arrogance, no threat, only an unwavering insistence that the right thing be done. Finally, with a reluctant nod, he stepped back. Benjamin watched in quiet admiration as Clara returned to her duties, her head held high, unaware of the silent gratitude shining in his eyes. Over the course of the evening, Benjamin and Clara spoke briefly here and there. He learned she had worked at the hotel for years, supporting her younger brother and mother after their father passed away. Every smile she offered, Every gentle word she gave carried a weight far heavier than any luxury she could have afforded herself. He felt a connection he hadn't anticipated, a respect so deep it shook him to his core. Here was someone whose kindness was so authentic it didn't need validation. It simply existed, radiating quietly yet powerfully. By the time dessert arrived, Benjamin had made a decision. He called Clara over, carefully folding his hands on the table. "Clara," he began, "I need you to know something. I am not who I appear to be tonight." Clara tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean?" "I'm Benjamin Clark," he said softly, watching her reaction closely. "I own the company that owns this hotel, among others. I could have demanded anything tonight, yet I chose to come as I am because I wanted to see people without my name influencing them." Clara blinked, speechless. She had suspected something perhaps, but hearing it aloud brought a mixture of shock and disbelief. She had treated him with kindness without expectation, unaware of the status he carried, and now that reality collided with her integrity. Benjamin continued, "And what I saw tonight is something money can never buy. Your generosity, your courage to stand up for what's right, your simple acts of kindness, they're worth more than all the wealth in the world." Tears glistened in Clara's eyes. I just do what I think is right," she whispered,